The dust on the guitar strings feels like a personal insult. Next to it, a stack of half-read books on urban gardening leans against a laptop filled with folders of V1 code for a business you never launched. You look at this room, this graveyard of abandoned identities, and a cold, familiar weight settles in your chest. Society has a word for you: dilettante. You've been told you lack grit. You've been told that choosing is winning, and that by refusing to pick a lane, you are effectively choosing to fail. You feel like an imposter, a jack of all trades who will inevitably be a master of nothing. But you are forgetting the rest of the quote. The full proverb actually says, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. Psychology suggests that this feeling of being scattered isn't a defect in your character. It is the emergence of a highly adaptive, rare cognitive architecture known as the M-shaped mind. While the world screams at you to focus, your nervous system is doing something far more sophisticated. It is preparing you for a wicked future where hyperspecialization isn't an asset, it's a death sentence. To understand why you feel this crushing anxiety, we have to look at the lie you were sold. For the last century, the global economy was an I-shaped game. An I-shaped person is a specialist. They dig one hole a mile deep and they stay there. This worked because the 20th century was what psychologists call a kind learning environment. Think of golf. In golf, the rules never change. The grass is groomed, the ball is static. And if you practice your swing for 10,000 hours, you win. The specialist thrives because patterns repeat. But look out your window. We don't live in a kind environment anymore. We live in a wicked environment. In a wicked environment, the rules are in constant flux. The ball moves while you're hitting it. The grass turns into a swamp overnight. In this world, the specialist is fragile. If the industry shifts, if the AI evolves, or if the market pivots, the specialist becomes a relic. They are a master of a world that no longer exists. This is why you naturally drift. One year you are obsessed with electrical wiring and HVAC systems. The next, you are deep into Zen philosophy, heavy lifting, and modular synthesis. To an outsider, you look unfocused. But internally, you are engaged in sampling. You are gathering data points from disparate domains. And this is where the magic happens. Most people solve problems using near transfer. If you're a carpenter, you use a hammer to hit a nail, but the M-shaped mind uses far transfer. This is the ability to take a concept from a completely unrelated field, like beekeeping, and apply it to database architecture. Think about the most revolutionary thinkers in history. They weren't the ones who stayed in their lane. They were the ones who crashed into other lanes. Steve Jobs famously dropped out of college, but stayed to audit a calligraphy class. At the time, it seemed like a scattered waste of energy. But years later, that useless hobby became the foundation for the beautiful typography of the Macintosh. A specialist engineer would have given you functional text. A scattered polymath gave you an aesthetic revolution. You feel like an imposter because you aren't the best at any one thing. But you are failing to see that in 2025, value isn't found in depth alone. It's found in synthesis. You aren't just writing code. You are cultivating an ecosystem informed by your time spent gardening. You aren't just managing a team. You are orchestrating a rhythm informed by your years playing the drums. You've likely heard of the T-shaped person, someone with broad general knowledge and one deep specialty. It was the gold standard for the early 2000s. But the T-shape is no longer enough to survive the volatility of the coming decade. The future belongs to the M-shaped individual. An M-shaped person has multiple pillars of depth, connected by a high-level bridge of curiosity. You don't just have one specialty, you have 3 or 4 deep zones that you've built over seasons of obsession. But here is the trap that leads to your burnout. You cannot build all the pillars of the M at the same time. If you try to learn Python, write a screenplay, and master Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, all in the same month, your nervous system will redline. You will collapse under the weight of your own ambition and end up back on the couch, scrolling, feeling like a failure. The secret of the world's most successful multi-passionate people is serial mastery. Stop viewing your life as a single static snapshot. Start viewing it as a series of seasons. I remember a story of a 50-year-old designer who spent 20 years feeling behind. In his 20s, he was a professional musician. In his 30s, he became a cabinet maker. In his 40s, he pivoted to user experience design. For decades, he felt like he was constantly starting over at the bottom of the ladder while his peers were becoming VPs. But then something shifted. He realized he wasn't starting over. He was stacking. When he designed a digital interface, he understood physical tactility because of the woodworking. When he structured a user flow, he understood tempo and harmony because of the music. He was suddenly the only person in the room who could see the invisible connections between the physical and digital worlds. He wasn't a junior designer. He was a senior architect of human experience. He didn't try to merge them all at once. He allowed himself to have a music season and a woodworking season. He protected his psychic energy. He understood that the M shape isn't built in a day, it's built in decades. There is a final reason why your scattered brain is actually a survival masterstroke, and it comes from evolutionary biology. It's called redundancy. In nature, redundancy is strength. Consider the elephant. Elephants almost never get cancer despite having trillions of cells. Why? Because they have massive genetic redundancy, multiple copies of the P53 gene, which kills off cancerous cells. If one copy fails, 19 others are standing by to take over. Your graveyard of hobbies is your cognitive redundancy. If you are a specialist software engineer and the market for your specific language collapses, you are in danger. Your identity is tied to a single point of failure. But if you are a software engineer who also understands psychology, video editing, and logistics, you are unbreakable. You haven't been wasting your time dabbling. You have been engaging in strategic adaptability. You've been building a safety net of skills that ensures no matter what happens to the economy or the AI landscape, or the job market, you have a pivot ready. You are anti-fragile. You actually grow stronger in the face of chaos. So the next time you look at that half-finished project or that useless set of tools in the corner, I want you to stop apologizing. Those weren't failures. They were semesters in the university of your own making. You were never meant to be a cog in a machine that only turns one way. You were built to be the bridge between worlds that others can't even see. The I-shaped specialist sees a problem and looks for a tool. The M-shaped polymath looks at a problem and sees a landscape. Your scattered interests aren't a sign that you are lost. They are a sign that you are building something far more complex than a career. You are building a life that is immune to obsolescence. If you're ready to stop the shame and start building your pillars, drop a heart emoji in the comments. Let the world know that you are no longer picking a lane. You are building the whole highway. And if you want to dive deeper into how to structure your seasons of mastery so you stop burning out, check out the community newsletter linked below. We're building a future for the M-shaped mind. The graveyard is over. The construction has just begun.